The movie, A Good Day to Be a Dog, tells the story of Han Hee-na, a single high school teacher with a family secret. Due to an ancestral curse, the Han family has suffered for generations. Whenever a member of her family kisses someone, they transform into a dog at midnight for 6 hours. They then revert back to their human form. This transformation repeats nightly until they kiss the same person again while in dog form. Because of this, whenever Hee-na meets a potential romantic partner, she asks them not to kiss her. This often leads men to leave her, confused by her request. To find out how she handles this canine transformation and who might break the curse, you'll have to watch the movie or my review. One night, at a club, Hee-na is experiencing the bittersweet agony of watching couples kiss. The situation is made worse because it's her 1-year anniversary with her boyfriend, who naturally wants to celebrate with a kiss. Unable to allow this, Hee-na impulsively smashes a cake in his face, ending the relationship in a spectacularly awkward fashion. 3 years later, Hee-na is a teacher at a new high school. She's just learned that her ex is getting married. Wanting to drown her sorrows with friends, she finds they're all busy. Meanwhile, we're introduced to the handsome history teacher, Bo-jom, whose good looks have captivated the hearts of many students, including Hee-na. Unfortunately, due to her curse, Hee-na becomes the anti-kissing vigilante of the school, intervening whenever she sees students about to lock lips. Her friend advises her to let the teenagers be, but Hee-na can't help herself. It's not just about enforcing rules, it stems from her own jealousy and longing for a normal romantic life, one where dating doesn't preclude kissing. While chatting, Hee-na and her friend encounter the aloof teacher Jin Seo-won. Before she can apologize for a previous encounter, he walks away, prompting her to call him unpleasant. Her friend inquires about their animosity, learning that he seems to dislike Hee-na rather than the other way around. Suddenly, a student trips, and Seo-won impressively catches him without spilling his tray, impressing everyone. Then, Bo-jom arrives and invites Hee-na and her friend to a barbecue with their colleagues that evening. Later, at the restaurant, Seo-won is also present. As the four walk past a pet shop, Bo-jom stops to admire the puppies, revealing his fondness for them. Hee-na notices a bandage on Seo-won's hand and offers her concern, but he nervously avoids her and rushes into the restaurant. Still hesitant, Hee joins the gathering, showcasing her impressive beer opening skills, akin to a kung fu master wielding a bottle opener. Hee-na, excited for the outing, checks her phone and discovers her ex is marrying her best friend. Devastated, she drinks to numb the pain. Her friend seizes the opportunity to ask Bo-jom about his ideal type. He replies simply, "Someone normal, but from Bin-duong." Seeing her chance, Hee-na tries to confess her feelings to him but passes out drunk. Upon waking, determined to confess, she finds Bo-jom, who readily agrees to be with her. In her drunken state, she kisses him, only to realize it's actually Seo-won. Mortified, she flees. As she runs, unable to go any further, she transforms into a dog, the consequence of her ancestors' curse. Managing to grab her shoe, Hee-na, now a dog, boards a train home. Her male friend, seeing the dog, mistakes her for Jae. Jae then appears, startling him. Recognizing Hee-na's red shoe, Jae realizes what has happened. They quickly take her home. Jae explains the curse to her friend. Hee-na will return to human form at 6 am, then transform back into a dog at midnight, repeating this cycle for 100 days. If the curse isn't broken, she'll remain a dog permanently. The next morning, Hee-na wakes up, remembers kissing Seo-won, and screams, waking her sister. In the car, Hee-na is already writing a resignation letter, claiming demonic possession. After much persuasion from her sister, she reluctantly goes to school. Inside, she's unusually timid. Bo-jom advises her to apologize to Seo-won, saying he's cold on the outside but kind at heart. During break time, Hee-na apologizes to Seo-won, who is understanding, attributing the kiss to the alcohol. Remembering how her mother broke the curse by being kissed by her lover in dog form, Hee-na hatches a plan to get Seo-won to kiss her as a dog. She invites him to dinner, but he jokingly declines, fearing he'll become dinner. Determined, Hee-na persistently pursues Seo-won, though without much success. Luckily, he's not completely cold-hearted and eventually agrees to have dinner with her. They share a pleasant meal and conversation, fueled by alcohol, where Seo-won admits he doesn't actually dislike her. As the conversation continues, Hee-na leaves abruptly. As it's nearing midnight, she transforms back into a dog. She sees CO1 looking for her and fantasizes about him kissing her, breaking the curse. However, CO1, who is terrified of dogs, runs away in panic, climbing onto a trash can in fear. He mistakes Hee-na for a giant rat. Just then, Bo-jom appears, a welcome sight for Hee-na. He picks up the adorable dog, but Hee-na can't manage to kiss him. Jae and her friend arrive to collect Hee-na's belongings and take her home. CO1, still shaken, tells Bo-jom about his encounter with the giant rat. The next morning, while the three friends are walking together, they recount the previous night's events to Hee-na, admitting their failure to help her break the curse and jokingly suggesting they try dine and dash next time. Meanwhile, CO1 takes a shower to calm his nerves, replaying the previous night's events in his mind and wondering why Hee-na left so abruptly. CO1 and Hee-na meet to discuss the previous evening. He asks why she left so suddenly. She lies, saying her sister called her home. She offers to pay for the meal, but he tells her Bo-jom already covered it, almost exposing her lie. They agree to have dinner together weekly. Hee-na pretends this is to get him to help her pursue Bo-jom, a lie CO1 accepts. At their planned outing, Hee-na unexpectedly runs into Kie. The two men arrive, and the four of them play an escape room game. Afterward, Hee-na invites CO1 for drinks, hoping to kiss him in dog form to break the curse. He declines. Upon seeing a cute dog, CO1's fear kicks in, and he runs away. On her way home, Hee-na sees a picture of Bo-jom and Kia having drinks together, with a third, empty glass. She assumes CO1 declined her invitation to join them. Sitting in the car, she appears disappointed, unaware that CO1 is outside trying to hail a cab. They miss each other, leading to mutual misunderstanding. Back home, Hee-na vents to her siblings about CO1's apparent dislike for her. They realize he's afraid of dogs. This explains his previous disappearances when she was around. A group of students on their way to school spot three delinquents smoking. They ask Hee-na to intervene. Despite her fear, she tries to act tough, but the delinquents mock her. They're from another school, and Hee-na realizes she's in over her head. Just as they're about to attack her, CO1 arrives like a superhero, rescuing her. Back at school, Hee-na is still shaken. Seeing this, CO1 gets an idea. Later, Hee-na discovers someone left her a pastry, which she enjoys discreetly. CO1 observes this with a warm feeling. After class, a distraught Hee-na sits alone, falling asleep. CO1 arrives and wakes her gently, then sits and listens as she laments her perceived inadequacy as a teacher, unable to discipline students and embarrassing herself. CO1 reassures her, saying anyone would have reacted similarly in that situation. Seeing his kinder side, Hee-na apologizes for the previous night. He accepts, admitting he was also at fault. They reconcile, strengthening their bond. Back home, Hee-na told her sister about seeing Mr. CO1 smile today, which was the first time she had ever witnessed such a thing. Meanwhile, CO1 was jogging when he saw a dog and immediately changed direction, turning back the way he came. The gossipy student who witnessed the morning's incident went to the convenience store. As luck would have it, the Three Princes gang was also there, and upon seeing him, they challenged him. Unexpectedly, when they ended up at the police station, the student was completely unharmed, while the leader of the Three Princes suffered serious injuries. The young man's mother, seeing her son hurt, accused Yule of being poorly raised without parents. Just then, Hee-na arrived and defended her student. She informed the mother that her son had been smoking and had threatened her earlier that morning. She added that if she reported it, her son would be eating boxed meals in juvenile detention. Seeing the mother's disbelief, Hee-na walked over to the injured prince and pulled out his pack of cigarettes. At this point, the mother fainted, and the family quickly left. Hee-na offered to take Yule home. Seeing him check his phone and noticing it was almost midnight, she panicked and started running. However, Yule stuck to her like glue and, unfortunately, knocked her phone into a drain. Hee-na didn't have time to retrieve it and ran ahead, but the student still managed to catch up to her to return the phone. Right at midnight, she transformed into a dog, startling Yule so much that he fainted. After Hee-na woke Yule up, she tried to run away again. He wouldn't let her escape and caught her. Seeing only a small dog, Yule was incredibly doubtful. unable to believe his teacher had transformed into a canine. After considering it, he realized it was true. Defeated and unsure what to do, he took her home. In the car, the driver was shocked to see Yule's dog open the car window. Back at home, Hee-na further demonstrated her abilities by opening Yule's phone. He was saddened, unsure if she would ever return to human form. At bedtime, Yule was still awkward around the dog, unable to share a bed with her, so he chose to sleep on the floor, leaving the bed to his teacher-turned-dog. Once Yule was asleep, Hee-na tried to escape, but despite her best efforts, she couldn't open the door. Resigned, she went to sleep. The next morning, she woke up and, regaining her composure, went to get dressed. Seo-won was already awake. He went to his nephew's room and opened the door to find Hee-na there. The scene was ripe for misunderstanding. Seo-won was, after all, Yule's uncle and Hee-na's colleague. He appeared angry, assuming the worst. Ironically, it was an accident. The two desperately tried to lie their way out of the situation, and surprisingly, the trusting Seo-won believed them. After he left, Hee-na was still worried. Fortunately, Seo-won didn't seem to dwell on it and even apologized for his harsh words earlier. Relieved, Hee-na asked him to keep the incident a secret. In return, she would keep his relationship to Yule confidential. Unbeknownst to them, Ki overheard their entire conversation. After Ki returned home and told her sister, Jaya flew into a rage, berating her for revealing their secret. Her boyfriend tried to intervene, but Jaya grabbed his hair and slapped him repeatedly, leaving him dazed and defenseless. At home, Seo-won was cooking and noticed Yule constantly watching dog-related shows. He asked him what was going on. Yule, now obsessed with dogs, was acting strangely, leaving Seo-won exasperated. The vice principal unexpectedly brought his pet dog to school today and left it there for the day. Upon seeing Hee-na, the dog ran straight to her, as if they had a special connection. Seo-won arrived just then and was startled to see the dog. His bad luck continued when his superior asked him to fetch food for the pampered pooch. Seo-won was terrified but tried to appear calm as he carried the food. He crept in like he was on a stealth mission, tiptoeing to put down the food bowl. However, the seemingly lazy dog immediately smelled the food and charged towards Seo-won. Luckily, Hee-na appeared and pushed him out of the room just in time. Seo-won's canine woes weren't over yet. During break time, Bo-jom brought the dog out and let it run towards him. Seo-won froze for 5 seconds. Fortunately, the dog was distracted by the compartment where Hee-na had thrown something earlier, allowing him another narrow escape. After school, Kia asked Hee-na to stay and talk. Kia beat around the bush, making Hee-na worry that she knew about her transformation. After much rambling, Kia finally got to the point. She wanted Hee-na to stay out of her relationship with Seo-won. She claimed they had a lifelong promise to each other. Relieved that Kia was unaware of her secret, Hee-na encouraged her, saying she was sure she would win Seo-won over. Hee-na went outside, only to be informed by her friend that the vice principal's dog had returned. She immediately ran to find Seo-won, who was still blissfully unaware of the dog's presence. Suddenly, his computer shut off. Looking down, he saw the dog under his desk. He jumped onto his desk in terror, and 2 more colleagues witnessed his fear of dogs. Seeing Hee-na pick up the dog and smile brightly, Seo-won seemed smitten. In truth, he had liked her from the moment she arrived at the school. He had noticed every time she smiled. That evening, Hee-na stood gazing at a bakery, unaware that Bo-jom was watching her from his car with a cryptic expression. He then called Seo-won and asked him to buy him a cake, his real motive being to orchestrate a meeting between him and Hee-na. They met at the bakery. Seo-won noticed Hee-na admiring a chocolate cake but hesitating to buy it, as her doctor had advised against eating cocoa at night. Ignoring conventional wisdom, Seo-won bought her the whole cake. They walked home together, sharing many stories along the way. At the bus stop, Hee-na gave him a keychain with a cute dog charm, hoping he would become less afraid of dogs. Back home, Hee-na was frustrated that she couldn't eat the chocolate cake. Despite her cravings, her siblings wouldn't let her, and she sadly watched them enjoy it. Seo-won met with Bo-jom and confided in him. Noticing Bo-jom's rustic lifestyle, Seo-won asked if he was homeless. Bo-jom didn't reveal much, only saying he had a home but could only return after completing his mission. The next day at school, the group of restless teachers gossiped about Mr. Bong and Miss Seo's love story. They reminisced about the night they overheard the couple's hilariously bad Romeo and Juliet roleplay, laughing uncontrollably. Despite that, the couple was about to get married. Hee-na and Seo-won went to the mall to buy them a wedding gift. As luck would have it, Kia was also there, and seeing them together, she was consumed with jealousy. Upon encountering them, she made her displeasure at Hee-na's presence clear. Learning they were planning to attend Mr. Bong and Miss Seo's wedding, Kie offered them a ride. Seo-won refused, disliking her car. Hee-na hesitated, unsure whether to accept the ride, still annoyed with Kie. Frustrated, Kia called Bo-jom and told him Hee-na's secret. Back home, Hee-na struggled to choose an outfit for the wedding, and her sister ended up picking out a few designer pieces for her. The following day, Kie and Bo-jom waited for Hee-na, but Song-yi arrived instead, disappointing Kie, who left. Hee-na saw Seo-won arrive and was struck by how handsome he looked. He suddenly opened an umbrella, ostensibly to shield himself from the sun, but it was actually a ploy to prevent Kie from seeing them together. Earlier, Seo-won had told his nephew, Yul, that he would rent a car to take Hee-na to the wedding. Yul was apprehensive, knowing his uncle had only recently obtained his driver's license, but Seo-won was undeterred. He did, however, watch driving instruction videos and practiced mimicking driving postures. On the day of the wedding, Seo-won dressed impeccably and meticulously prepared the rented car before picking up Hee-na. However, from the moment he started driving, things seemed a bit shaky. It started pouring rain, and Seo-won couldn't figure out how to turn on the windshield wipers, fumbling for a while before succeeding. Suddenly, Yul called Hee-na, warning her that his uncle had only been driving for 3 months and advising her to get out of the car if she valued her life. Hee-na began to fear for their journey. Distracted by their conversation, they veered off course. Their trip to the wedding was turning out to be anything but smooth. Arriving late to the wedding, Seo-won didn't hesitate to take her hand and run under the morning sun to Bong Seo's ceremony. Hee-na wished, just once, to be like them, walking hand in hand down the aisle. Suddenly, the ma called upon Seo-won to sing. Hee-na was more surprised than anyone when he began, his voice captivating everyone, especially her. Kia finally arrived just as the ceremony ended and everyone headed to the reception. Bong, the groom, knowing Seo-won had driven, asked him to store some of the event banners. Seeing him head outside, Kia seized the opportunity to ask for his help with a trivial matter, her main goal being to tag along. Seo-won overheard Bo-jom inviting Hee-na out, feeling a pang of jealousy, but he was currently stuck with Kie. In the car, he received a call from Bo-jom, who was now out with Hee-na, further fueling his frustration. Kia wasn't having the best time either, enduring his rather erratic driving. Meanwhile, Hee-na and Bo-jom sat together, admiring a beautiful sunset. After a long chat, they headed back to Seoul to prepare for their teaching jobs the next day. Suddenly, Bo-jom stopped, standing pensively on the beach, thinking about how Hee-na and Seo-won couldn't be together for long, because in the year 1592, they had been tragically separated. Mysterious lines appeared on the sea, foreshadowing an impending event. That night, when Hee-na returned home, Jaya suggested a plan, luring the tiger out of the mountains. Knowing Seo-won's nephew was aware of Hee-na's secret, Jaya wanted to use him as leverage to break the curse. Putting the plan into action, Jaya and her close friend approached Yul, revealing everything about Hee-na's situation, hoping for his assistance. The next day, Yul met with Hee-na to discuss the matter. She asked for his help, and he readily agreed, eager to implement the plan that very night. Yul inquired about what would happen after the curse was broken. She explained that if she fell in love with someone new, she would return to her original state. But if she loved the person who broke the curse, she would no longer transform into a dog and could remain human forever. That night, they prepared to execute the plan, but Seo-won wouldn't fall asleep, causing Yul considerable stress. Finally, at midnight, he fell into a deep sleep, and Yul brought Hee-na inside to begin. The plan went smoothly at first, successfully getting Hee-na into Seo-won's bed. However, when she kissed him, nothing happened. A second attempt yielded the same result. When Seo-won finally woke up, he was startled to find a dog in his bed. Luckily, Yul intervened as a distraction, allowing Hee-na's siblings to rescue her. The plan had failed. Jaya consulted her mother and relayed the news to Hina. They learned that to break the curse, the recipient of the kiss needed to be awake. This made things significantly more difficult, forcing the trio to devise a new plan to obtain CO1's kiss. Jaya suggested to Hina the idea of helping CO1 overcome his fear of dogs. However, she quickly dismissed the idea, too afraid to try. The next day after school, CO1 and Hina had a brief conversation at the bus stop. Hina mustered the courage to ask him about his xenophobia. He was hesitant to discuss it, only mentioning an incident that occurred when he was 10. That incident had left him with a lingering phobia, making him see dogs as tigers. Every time he saw a dog, the fear from that day resurfaced, continuing to haunt him. That evening, Hina told Jaya that she was determined to help CO1 conquer his fear. True to her word, she discussed it with him at school the next day. Contrary to her expectations, CO1 agreed to let her help. But that night, he recalled Hina's attempt to desensitize him, which involved a chaotic encounter with a group of people at a dog market, terrifying him to the point of fainting. The following day, CO1 continued the exercises with Hina, still apprehensive, even around a puppy. After a session, they sat on a hill, chatting idly. While feeling optimistic about the progress they were making, a dog suddenly broke free from its owner and ran towards them. CO1 panicked. Luckily, in the nick of time, Hina used a piece of cloth to shield him. That night, when Hina transformed back into her dog form, Jaya discovered a picture on her sister's phone of someone who had captured Hina in her canine form. Furious that her sister's secret had been discovered, Jaya scolded her. Stuck in her dog form, Hina couldn't argue, so she scratched at her toys in frustration. The next day, the vice principal tasked CO1 with hanging a banner for the Ideal Role Model Search Group. This group was quite popular at school and highly regarded by the teachers, including Hina. The group encountered Bojom and CO1 and asked them to participate in their upcoming program. Impressed by their enthusiasm, both agreed. When Hina watched the program, she was dismayed to see CO1 choose Kia instead of her. How frustrating. When CO1 saw the video, he was bewildered, unsure how it happened. The next day, Kia was congratulated by her classmates for winning first place in the selection contest. This further annoyed Hina, who felt like she was going to war just standing there. CO1 offered to help, but she was sulking and refused. Afterwards, CO1 walked past a room and witnessed an act of bullying. Seeing Jai-1 with milk poured over her head, he intervened. The bullies, outwardly pleasant but inwardly cruel, denied their involvement, claiming they were filming a bullying scene. CO1 questioned Jai-1, but she was too afraid to reveal the truth for some reason. Suspecting Ki-A's involvement, CO1 immediately confronted her. He demanded she investigate what happened to Jai-1. Ki-A questioned her group and reported back exactly what he had heard earlier that morning. Knowing the matter wasn't resolved, CO1 attempted to investigate further, but the vice principal stopped him, saying it wasn't his class's business. Defeated, CO1 left. Bojom approached him and, noticing his agitation, advised him to wait and assess the situation before taking further action. After school, Hina saw Jai-1 taking the gym teacher's key. Upon asking the teacher, she learned that Jai-1 had borrowed it to clean the gym to improve her school record. The teacher found this odd, so Hina followed Jai-1's friends. However, they were cunning, and she couldn't uncover anything. That evening, Jai-1 remained in the gym, afraid to leave due to the fear of further humiliation. She kept hearing the taunts of her bullies. When the door finally opened, it wasn't her tormentors but Hina and CO1. The three sat down and talked. Jai-1 revealed that Yi-Hee resented her for being praised for her acting skills, leading Yi-Hee to devise ways to humiliate her. The little girl had cried a lot. CO1 promised to get her justice. The next day, at the school board meeting, the video the other group had filmed had been edited so that it didn't look like it had anything to do with bullying. CO1 didn't think so, as the original video was still on Yi-Hee's phone. The vice principal, seeing this, wanted to sweep the incident under the rug, fearing the school's bully-free reputation would be tarnished. CO1 didn't care about that. He only wanted Jai-1 to be cleared of the false accusations. CO1 cried. Fortunately, he had Hina, a close colleague, by his side. He told Hee-na about his own past experience. Back when he was in school, he was on his way home when a group of students stopped him and pressured him to hang out with them. Being a well-behaved young man, he refused. The bullies then sent their leader to challenge him. They wanted to show everyone there that Co-1 was so afraid of a small dog that he trembled with fear. This struck a nerve with him, so he argued back. Before he could do anything, the kids beat him up. Classmates passed by and saw what was happening, but no one dared to help him for fear of being threatened. Since then, he'd been haunted by school violence and wanted to help students in similar situations so that schools could become free from such evils. Unable to hold back his tears, Co-1 leaned on Hee-na's slight frame and sobbed. Not wanting him to be defeated, Hee-na took action that night. Disguised as a small dog, she stole Yi-hee's phone while she was distracted playing a game and ran away. The next day, Hee-na brought the clip to the vice principal, hoping he would address the situation. But he was displeased. Co-1 then went to see Yi-hee, wanting her to repent for what she had done to Jae-1. However, Yi-hee didn't give up. She even devised a plan to frame Co-1. Hee-na overheard this secret. That night, she planned her course of action with her older siblings. Yi-hee's group lured Co-1 to a park to set him up. Hee-na risked herself by spying on Yi-hee's friends. When she was discovered, she ran away and got in her car to watch the video. Hee-na's siblings were furious and wanted to call Co-1 but couldn't reach him. At the appointed time, Co-1 arrived at the park. Yi-hee began her performance in front of the vice principal. But Hee-na's group foiled the plan. Yi-hee's accomplices were arrested. Yi-hee managed to escape but was caught by Bo-jong. He admonished and questioned her about the times she had humiliated Jae-1, frightening her. Finally, Bo-jong forgave her. Hee-na went looking for her friends and surprisingly found them pretending to be statues at the base of a tree, looking quite comical. Co-1 later heard from Yul about how he was almost framed. The next day, Jae-1 came to school to thank Co-1 and Hee-na for helping her clear her name. Thanks to the help of the little dog, Co-1 had escaped a disaster. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Yul asked his uncle if he could take the dog home for a few days, and his uncle agreed. That night, the plan to break Hee-na's curse was put into action. Yul had to stay awake all night, from drinking countless cokes, exercising, chewing gum, to using matches to keep his eyes open. Finally, he made it to morning. The next day, Hee-na returned to her human form, but wore Yul's clothes to approach Co-1 more easily. She wanted to kiss him and was pretending to be Choi-yoon to sneak back in. Therefore, Hee-na didn't dare to say a word. Jae-1, thinking it was his nephew, didn't pay much attention and simply pointed him towards the bathroom to brush his teeth. Choi-yoon, upon waking up, immediately went looking for Hee-na in her dog form, but couldn't find her. Just then, Jin Co-1 walked out. Unaware of the earlier events, Choi-yoon innocently asked his uncle about his dog, Coca. Jin replied that he had just seen Choi-yoon go out, so why was he back already? Choi-yoon immediately understood that Han had returned first. To avoid suspicion, Choi-yoon lied, saying that Junaseo had taken Coca out. Noticing his nephew wearing different clothes than earlier that morning, Jin Co-1 became suspicious and questioned him. However, Choi-yoon just feigned innocence, pretending not to understand, and quickly slipped into his room. At home, Han Hee-na received a text from Jin Co-1. He wanted to invite her to dinner to thank her for helping him overcome his fear of dogs. Han said it was no big deal. She took the opportunity to ask Jae-1 about his sleep schedule to carry out her kissing plan. Hearing Jae-1 say that he'd been staying up late and locking his door, a worried Hee-na blurted out that he shouldn't do that. Jin Co-1 didn't understand, but Hee-na covered her slip-up, saying she just wanted him to take care of his health and get enough sleep. She added that Coca couldn't open the door, so he didn't need to lock it. Jin Co-1 found it reasonable and took the opportunity to compliment Coca's cuteness. Hee-na was delighted, but Jin Co-1 had no idea that Coca was actually her. That afternoon at school, a new student named Min Jae transferred in. Rumored to be a very accurate fortune teller, the students lined up to have their fortunes read. Everyone was amazed by Min Jae's accuracy. After the fortune-telling session, she received a lot of candy and snacks. Just then, Choi-yoon walked by and asked her for some snacks. Min Jai suddenly warned him to be careful because he was about to encounter misfortune, especially involving a dog in a difficult situation. These words stunned Choi Yoon, as they seemed to allude to Han Hee-na. After school, Hee-na called Choi Yoon out to remind him that tonight was the last chance to break the curse before the school's field trip. Choi Yoon seemed determined, but that night, he fell into a deep sleep and couldn't wake up. Hee-na, now in her puppy form, was helpless. She had to find a way to kiss Jae-won and break the curse herself. Jae-won was reading a book. When he saw Koka, he was still a little scared because he wasn't completely used to dogs. Hee-na, in Koka's form, acted cute, making Jae-won consider approaching her. But just then, Bo-jom, Jae-won's older brother, came to stay the night to prepare for the next day's trip. Hee-na's plan failed, and she remained a puppy. Early the next morning, Hee-na's older sister came to pick her up. As they were about to leave, her sister was tapped on the shoulder by Bo-jom, who mistook her for a dog thief. Fortunately, her sister quickly thought on her feet and said she was Jun Seo's sister, allowing her to escape. However, Bo-jom's sinister expression suggested he had other intentions. Back home, Hee-na's sister reminded her about the situation and helped her pack for the field trip. Upon arriving, Hee-na wanted to rent a separate room, but the hotel was fully booked. Just then, Choi Yoon brought a dog tent. He set it up in a corner of the yard so she could sneak out and maintain her secret. At night, as she prepared to transform, Hee-na snuck out. However, Jin Seo-won, who was on night duty, saw her and followed. At the turn, she transformed into a puppy, causing Jin Seo-won to continue chasing after her. By then, Jin Seo-won could only see Koka. This left him puzzled, wondering where Miss Han had gone. Everything had gone smoothly on the first day. Miss Han had also woken up, crawled out of the dog tent, and returned to her room with everyone else. Because she hadn't slept much the night before, she slept soundly on the bus. She was so deeply asleep that even when the bus stopped for a break, she remained in her seat to continue sleeping. Seeing this, her colleagues suggested she join Jae-won and Bo-jom for a boat ride to help her wake up. Somehow, Miss Han ended up in the same boat as Mr. Bo-jom. While on the boat, she chatted with Bo-jom, but his responses were filled with innuendo, as if he already knew about her nightly transformation. Just then, a bug appeared on Han Hee-na's boat. She screamed, causing Bo-jom to stand up and take her hand to reassure her. This scene was witnessed by the students on the shore. Everyone cheered and hooted, as if trying to set them up as a couple. Jin Seo-won, rowing a boat behind them, felt a pang of jealousy witnessing this scene. The next day, it was Miss Han's turn to check the attendance in each room. She discovered that 3 students had snuck out. She quickly tried calling them, but couldn't reach them, so she took a taxi to search for them. Just then, Jin Seo-won happened to pass by and heard the news, so he joined her in the search. They split up to look, but still couldn't find them. It was almost midnight, so Han Hee-na tried to think of a way to separate from Jin Seo-won before she transformed into a puppy. A while later, Jin Seo-won found the 3 students and brought them back. But when he tried to contact Miss Han, he couldn't reach her. Meanwhile, Choi Yoon went to the dog tent to check on her, but discovered she wasn't there. Worried, Choi Yoon didn't know what had happened to Miss Han. Jin Seo-won also began searching for her. During his search, he encountered a puppy that looked very much like Koka. However, shortly after, an old woman appeared and carried the puppy away. Jin Seo-won assumed it was her dog and didn't think much of it, continuing his search. Meanwhile, Han Hee-na had been taken to the old woman's house. She didn't know who the woman was or why she had taken her. Seeing the old woman sharpening a knife and boiling water, she started to panic, thinking something terrible was about to happen. She struggled and managed to bite through the rope that bound her and escaped. Meanwhile, besides Jin Seo-won, Choi Yoon was also searching for her. Reaching the base of a bridge, he heard a dog barking and recognized it as Miss Han. However, the distance between him and her at the base of the bridge was too great, leaving him to figure out how to rescue her. As Choi Yoon continued his search, the sky began to lighten with the first hints of dawn. Han Hee-na had returned to her human form. Just then, Jin-won arrived on the scene and found her at the foot of the bridge. He helped her up, and they started talking. Hee-na explained that she had lost her phone and that she had come all the way there looking for 3 students, but her leg was hurting. So, Jin SEO1 gave her a piggyback ride home. On the way, they chatted and shared a lot with each other. Hee-na also expressed her desire to thank their teacher, Miss Jun, for covering her night duty. Back in her room, Hee-na hadn't rested long before the three students showed up again, saying they had forgotten their wallets at the place they were yesterday. So, she and Jin-won headed back there to help them recover them. By chance, Hee-na's older sister's ex-boyfriend, named Wang Ju, passed by. Seeing Hee-na with SEO1, he assumed that he was her new boyfriend and took a picture. The secret of the two sisters was already in his hands. The scene shifts to the house. After the field trip, Jin-won realized that Hee-na seemed to no longer have feelings for Bo-jom. He was visibly delighted. At school, Jin-won was about to ask Hee-na out for a meal when Miss Yoon suddenly appeared, interrupting him and preventing him from making his move. Meanwhile, Hee-na had also developed feelings for Jin-won without even realizing when it happened. Even though she wanted this, she was now confused about what to do. She decided to confide in her uncle, who was being taken care of at his shop by her sister's friend. During their conversation, she shared that she was planning to reveal the truth to Jin SEO1, even transforming in front of him so he would understand. But in response, her uncle just barked, "Woof woof," which made her laugh. She resolved to do it right away and took a cab to meet SEO1. However, before she could meet him, a man appeared. This was Kang Yoon-hwan, SEO1's former classmate who used to bully him as a kid. Now, he worked as a gossip blogger who specialized in exposing the truth. Coincidentally, he had read the news about SEO1 and he now posted by her older sister's ex-boyfriend. So, he came to Jin SEO1 to gather more information. SEO1, knowing his old friend's low character, didn't like his current job even more, so he refused to answer and left. At midnight, Hee-na couldn't wait any longer and ran off. SEO1 happened to catch a glimpse of her shadow and followed. Luckily, Hee-na was fast, and after transforming into a dog, she managed to escape. The next morning, the two sisters returned to the previous location to find their clothes, but they were gone. It's likely that Kang Yoon-hwan had taken them last night. Back home, they were surprised to see their mother visiting. Before they could explain anything, the two sisters let slip many inconsistencies that made her suspicious. As predicted, at midnight, she discovered Hee-na transforming into a dog. She immediately asked her older sister who had kissed Hee-na. The older sister lied, saying it was her younger sister's boyfriend. The next morning, Hee-na woke up to find her mother and sister preparing a lot of delicious food. She didn't know if it was a celebration or a punishment feast. Her older sister, Honju-na, then announced that it was a welcoming party for their new brother-in-law. Hee-na was bewildered, wondering, "What brother-in-law?" Just then, the doorbell rang. She opened the door to find Choi Yul standing there. She was stunned to realize that the person her sister had asked to pretend to be her boyfriend was her own student. She rushed in to tell Han Ju-na. "Why did you hire my student?" Ju-na simply replied, "Because he's the only one who knows about this, so he can help us." Their mother came out to welcome Choi Yul into the house and have him join them for a meal. Choi Yul didn't hesitate to dig in, even blurting out that the food was better than the school cafeteria. Han Hee-na sat next to her student, feeling anxious and not daring to say a word. Hee-na's mother kept praising him, saying that even though he was 30, he still looked so young, which made Choi Yul just smile awkwardly. After the meal, they moved on to tea and fruit. The mother kept asking questions about the relationship between him and Han Hee-na. Luckily, Choi Yul managed to answer calmly without getting caught. However, things took a turn for the worse when Choi Yul received a phone call and went into Han Hee-na's room to answer it. Han Hee-na's mother went in, and after he finished his call, she told him that she wanted him to break the curse on her daughter. This made Choi Yul freeze up, and before he could respond, she stood guard at the door, not letting him leave. Seeing the dangerous situation, Han Hee-na had no choice but to reveal the truth, that the person she kissed was not Choi Yul, and that he was actually just her student. Hee-na's mother quickly apologized to Choi Yul and let him go. When Han Hee-na went outside, intending to give her student money for a taxi home, Choi Yul said that he was going to Jin SEO1's birthday party today and wanted her to come along. Choi Yul invited her to the party, hoping that they might be able to kiss and break the curse. Han Hee-na agreed, and together, she and Choi Yul showed up at Jin SEO1's birthday party. the three of them went to a restaurant. Han Hee-na gave Jin Seo-won the gift she bought on the way. Then, the staff brought out the birthday cake. Choi Yul told Jin Seo-won to make a wish. As Jin Seo-won made his wish, he looked at Han Hee-na, secretly thanking her because thanks to her, his birthday this year was much more special. After that, they played games together. Choi Yul seemed to want more attention from Han Hee-na, but seeing her and Jin Seo-won being close made him sad. When they came to a restaurant that served alcohol, they were about to go in, but then they realized that Choi Yul was underage, so they decided not to. Choi Yul understood and took the initiative to step aside. He turned away, saddened, and tears started to flow. Han Hee-na and Jin Seo-won went inside and ordered some drinks. Inside the restaurant, Jin Seo-won mustered all his courage to prepare to confess his feelings to Han Hee-na, but she interrupted him, saying that she wanted to say something first. She went to the bathroom to practice what she wanted to say, but she didn't have the confidence and burst into tears. When she returned to the table, Han Hee-na drank a glass of wine, intending to say that she would turn into a puppy after midnight, but she still couldn't say it. Jin Seo-won thought that she was embarrassed because of him, so he told her that she didn't need to say anything more. Thus, neither of their love confessions were spoken out loud. On the way home, Han Hee-na got very drunk. She was so drunk that she was admiring flowers along the road and leaned on Jin Seo-won's shoulder. The scene shifts to Kang Yoon-hwan, who, after getting information about Han Hee-na's ability to turn into a dog and acquiring the clothes from the previous day, had investigated her parents. He decided to go see them to see if he could extract any more information. However, Han Hee-na's mother was very cautious and didn't reveal anything about her daughters. Kang Yoon-hwan left but hid nearby to eavesdrop on the conversation between the couple. Through that, he learned that Han Hee-na's uncle had also turned into a dog and was currently being cared for at a pet shop. He immediately called his people to pretend to bring a dog for a checkup and secretly planted a surveillance camera in the shop. Having failed to gather any information from Han Hee-na's parents' chicken restaurant, Kang Yoon-hwan decided to go to her school to investigate further. Coincidentally, Jin-won was also there. Seeing Kang Yoon-hwan, Jin-won suspected that something unusual was going on. Therefore, he went home to search for information and investigate Kang Yoon-hwan's address. Afterward, he went to meet him to warn him not to bother Han Hee-na anymore. However, Kang Yoon-hwan, a fearless individual, continued his surveillance through the camera he had placed at the pet shop. That afternoon, Han Hee-na, her older sister Han Jae, and Seo-won were cleaning up the pet shop and talking about Han Hee-na's condition. She was planning to tell Seo-won that she was a dog, but Han Jae stopped her. Han Jae shared that she had once trusted her boyfriend and shared a similar secret, but she was filmed secretly and blackmailed afterwards. Their mother even had to spend a large sum of money to resolve the issue and break the curse for her. All of this was heard by Kang Yoon-hwan through the camera feed. He quickly found a way to contact Song-woo to meet up at Sang-goo's place. Kang Yoon-hwan recorded Song-woo's story and transferred a large sum of money to get the video as evidence. The scene changes, and Han Hee-na and Seo-won meet on the street. At this time, Jin Seo-won saw a strange man with something in his hand approaching Han Hee-na. He rushed to protect her and stopped the man. However, the man that Seo-won had just stopped was Han Hee-na's father. Seo-won quickly apologized. Han Hee-na's father, after seeing Seo-won, guessed that he was the one who had kissed his daughter. He was about to reveal the truth, but Han Hee-na stopped him and pulled him away. Han Hee-na told her father that Seo-won didn't know about it yet, but that she would soon find a way to solve the problem and explain it clearly to him. She emphasized that if it went beyond 100 days, she would permanently turn into a dog. Understanding his daughter's feelings, Han Pan-dong comforted her, saying that everything would be okay. He shared that when he had first learned that his wife was also affected, he had been very surprised and even thought about leaving. But in the end, he realized that the person affected was much more scared than he was. Therefore, he decided to understand and stay by the side of his wonderful wife. Arriving home, Han Hee-na received a text message from Kang Yoon-hwan, asking to meet her, along with a picture of the lost clothes from the day before. This made Hee-na very worried that her secret would soon be exposed, so she went to meet her older sister along with Song Woo-teek. They didn't know who this guy was, but they still accompanied Han Hee-na to the agreed meeting location. When they arrived, Kang Yoon-hwan appeared and said that he knew the secrets of her and her sister. Han Hee-na said she didn't believe him, and even if he did reveal them, no one would believe such a thing. But at that moment, he produced a video taken at the pet shop to show Hee-na. Kang Yoon-hwan's demand was money. He told her to gather as much money as possible, and he would consider deleting the clip. After their exchange, he got in his car and drove away. Song Woo-teek tried to chase after him to catch him, but it was too late. Back home, everyone received news that Kang Yoon-hwan was continuing to threaten them. He said that if there were no actions from Han Hee-na, he would release part 2 the next day. The family started to worry and get angry with Kang Yoon-hwan. To stop this from escalating, Han Hee-na's mother decided to let everyone take the next day off work to figure out how to deal with it. The next morning, at school, Jin-won noticed that Han Hee-na hadn't come to work, which made him curious. Thinking that she was sick, he planned to visit her. But just as he reached the door, he met a classmate of Choi Yul. The boy was showing off the puppy Coca that he was raising online on his phone. Jin-won realized that the puppy Coca that Choi Yul had brought home was not the same puppy in the picture. He immediately called Choi Yul to ask him about this. However, Choi Yul still hid the truth and said that it was just a coincidence in name, so there was nothing strange about it. Jin-won didn't suspect anything more and bought some porridge to leave in front of Han Hee-na's house, and then texted her. While eating the porridge, Han Hee-na was sad, not knowing how to deal with the situation. Her older sister Han Ju-na also burst into tears, thinking that everything that had happened was her fault, just for being too trusting of her terrible ex-boyfriend. However, Han Hee-na comforted her sister, saying that no one had wanted what had happened. At the same time, their parents and Song Woo-teek went to Song Woo-kie's house to ask for information. They wanted him to reveal the address of the YouTuber and delete all the remaining video clips. Song Woo-kie said that he genuinely didn't know, because the guy only came to his place to look for him. Not believing him, they tied him up, taped his mouth, and then went through his phone to check. Finally, they successfully found Kang Yoon-hwan's address. Meanwhile, at school, Seo-won happened to see the news about Kang Yoon-hwan posting things online. He immediately went to Kang Yoon-hwan's residence. After breaking down the door and rushing inside, he found Kang Yoon-hwan. Seo-won immediately punched him, causing him to fall, but Kang Yoon-hwan quickly got up and ran away. Knowing that Seo-won was afraid of dogs, he led him into a dead-end alley, and then had someone bring out dogs to scare him. Seo-won, out of fear, didn't dare to act. Taking that opportunity, Kang Yoon-hwan grabbed a stick and hit Seo-won on the head, causing him to lose consciousness. At the same time, Han Hee-na's parents had also arrived at the residence of this despicable Kang Yoon-hwan and found all the photos of their daughter along with surveillance equipment. Therefore, they destroyed his computer and gathered all the data stored there. Then, getting into their car, the mother brought Song Woo along and ordered him to lure Kang Yoon-hwan to meet them so they could destroy the evidence on his phone. He immediately called Kang Yoon-hwan to report that they needed to meet and to warn him that his room might have been trashed, since that was a common tactic of Han Hee-na's family. Hearing this, Kang Yoon-hwan checked the camera at his house and saw that his room had indeed been trashed. Enraged, he called Han Hee-na, demanding that she come to a meeting point to see him, and moreover, she had to come alone. Otherwise, he would immediately post the video online. Han Hee-na arrived, and he made her sit there and wait until 12 a.m., when he would reveal the truth to everyone. He started a live stream, waiting for people to interact, and then gradually revealed that in the modern world, something as bizarre as this was happening. But at this crucial moment, there is always a hero who rescues the damsel in distress. Seo-won, who had arrived at the location, kicked Kang Yoon-hwan, knocking him down, and then proceeded to beat him up. Han Hee-na, feeling ashamed and scared, ran away, and Jin Seo-won, seeing this, ran after her in the rain. Han Hee-na, sobbing, said that Seo-won shouldn't follow her because she was a freak. Seo-won said that he had already figured out her secret, and that, even though he was afraid of dogs, it was thanks to her that he had overcome this fear. He recounted the memories they had shared, as well as his desire to know the truth. At this point, it was also time for Han Hee-na to transform, so in front of Seo-won stood a puppy. But instead of being afraid, CO1 went over to her, picked her up, and gave the puppy a kiss. At this moment, Han Hee-na was freed from the curse and turned back into a human. At the same time, Kang Yoon Hwan also regained consciousness and was about to go find the two of them, when he ran into Mr. Bo Jom, who happened to be there. Kang Yoon Hwan, not knowing who he was, said a few words, trying to hit Bo Jom, but was sent flying into a wall by a single blow from him. A history teacher who is as strong as a bodybuilder, Bo Jom approached Kang Yoon Hwan and erased his memory before leaving. Therefore, when he woke up, Kang Yoon Hwan didn't remember anything and didn't know why he was there. Bo Jom's memories then flooded back. It turned out that he was the mountain spirit from the old days, and that Han Hee-na's curse was related to him. At this moment, the couple, CO1 and Han Hee-na, were talking. She said that after that kiss, no matter how many times she kissed him, she wouldn't turn into a puppy anymore. To celebrate her successful escape from her puppy fate, her older sister and Song Woo-teek had prepared a celebratory meal for her. After they finished eating, Han Hee-na was called over by Jin-won, so she went inside the house. Han Jae-ae, who was outside, saw Song Woo-teek pouting, as if he wanted a kiss, so she moved in quickly. Luckily, Song Woo-teek stopped her. Otherwise, she would have blamed it on thinking that Song Woo-teek's lips were like megas in Han Hee-na's house. CO1 and Han Hee-na talked on the phone very affectionately, as new love is always beautiful. They even came up with nicknames for each other. The scene shifts to Mr. Bo Jom's basement office, where the principal appears and says strange things. It turns out that he is also just a subordinate of Bo Jom. They originally didn't come from this era, so the principal wants to advise Bo Jom to return to the mountains so that everything can go back to the way it was. But Bo Jom says that he doesn't want to go back there anymore and that everything isn't over yet. Bo Jom says that he wants CO1 and Han Hee-na to experience what he went through. What is he planning to do, and what is his purpose? After that, Bo Jom gives the principal a bracelet and wants him to give it to Han Hee-na. Switching back to the couple in love, they text each other with care every day. Choi Yul also found out about this. He wished his uncle and Miss Han well. Then, he tells his uncle, CO1, that he has learned all about Miss Han's habits. After saying that, he tells his uncle about some of the habits he knows, such as that when she goes to a coffee shop, she orders a hot chocolate, and that Miss Han has loved to eat chocolate since she started dating. The two of them meet, but they still have to be secretive at school because the principal said that teachers at the school were forbidden from dating each other. They have to hide their love, but manage to quickly touch hands. Not finished yet, Choi Yul arranges to meet Miss Han outside to talk. He says that he knows about their dating and, furthermore, wishes Miss Han well, like he did with his uncle, CO1. He also tells Han Hee-na about his uncle's habits, such as always making a smiley face with his fried eggs and always closing his eyes when getting on the elevator. He wants to foster their love. Day by day, the love between CO1 and Han Hee-na continues to blossom. They date at school, and the vacant gym is perfect for surprising each other. The two of them are about to make out when the students come in for gym class, so they don't know what to do and hide behind a curtain. But unfortunately, the students press the button to open the curtains, so they have to move along with it and hide. The scene was both funny and affectionate. Outside, at this time, Min Jae is walking when she sees a figure of a woman wearing traditional historical clothing. So she follows her to Mr. Bo Jom's secret room. When she goes in, she doesn't see anyone, but she sees a piece of cloth that has a hole through it as if an arrow has been shot through it. Picking it up makes her remember her past lives. After that, she sees a painting of a girl who looks very much like Min Jae. She is shocked and passes out. Just as Mr. Bo Jom returns, he carries her to the nurse's office. She is still wondering why the picture in that room looked like her. Could it be her from a past life? Therefore, she wants to learn about the past to understand more about herself. Han Hee-na returns, and her sister goes into her room to talk to her about her desire to kiss Song Woo-teek the day before. She also doesn't understand if she wanted to kiss Song Woo-teek or if it was just her desire to eat that was coming out. So she wants to ask Han Hee-na about it. Han Yoo-na chases her younger sister away to eat with her boyfriend so she can call Song Woo-teek to come test it out. There, Han Yoo-na says that she wanted to try kissing her friend, but then, when their lips were almost touching, she didn't want to anymore. This also helps her understand that she was only feeling a craving, and she feels so relieved. Switching to CO1 and Han Hee-na. After their meal, they headed back to CO1's place. This was Hee-na's first visit as his official girlfriend. Just then, Hee-na's sister texted saying she was finished with her errands and could come home. But Hee-na didn't want her to. She told CO1 to tell her sister to take her time. Love really changes things, doesn't it? Lost in conversation, they gazed into each other's eyes. And one thing led to another. They were just about to kiss when Bo-jom, their teacher, suddenly showed up. Hee-na quickly hid in Choi-yoon's room. Bo-jom said he was just stopping by to pick up something he'd left behind the other day. CO1, leaving his girlfriend hidden in the room, was about to stash her shoes when Bo-jom walked back out. Thinking fast, CO1 claimed the shoes belonged to his sister, and he was getting them ready to send to her. At that very moment, Choi-yoon returned home, adding another layer of complication. Choi-yoon was about to go into his room to rest, but CO1 quickly stopped him, saying the door was jammed. Meanwhile, inside Choi-yoon's room, Hee-na was frantically searching for another hiding spot. Choi-yoon forced the door open and entered, but thankfully Hee-na had already vanished. CO1 breathed a sigh of relief, though he had no idea where she'd gone. He waited until Bo-jom and Choi-yoon were asleep before sneaking off to find Hee-na. It turned out she had hidden in Choi-yoon's closet and fallen asleep. Seeing her adorable sleeping face, they finished what they had started earlier, sharing a kiss. Afterwards, he carefully escorted Hee-na home. The next morning, at the pet shop, Han Hee-na's and Han Jae-a's uncle had taken a turn for the worse. UTCH called them over to prepare them for the possibility of his passing, as he was growing weaker. Hee-na confided in CO1 about her uncle. He comforted her and then asked about the curse. But even Hee-na didn't know the origins of the curse. She'd been born with it, and no one knew the reason why. CO1 declared he would soon uncover the root of the matter and end the curse. Meanwhile, Min Jae, determined to find the truth, met with Go Bo-jom and questioned him. But Bo-jom was evasive, unwilling to discuss it. Min Jae pressed, saying she sensed something strange about him, that he must be hiding something. To prove otherwise, Bo-jom led Min Jae to his secret room. However, the scarf and painting Min Jae had seen before were gone. She offered to read his tarot cards, and he agreed. The first card revealed Bo-jom as a noble person whose true worth went unrecognized. The next card represented his outward personality, cheerful and jovial, but hiding a different person within. The third card depicted the mountain he ruled, yet it stood on the precipice of a cliff. For love, he was letting go. This card signified that he was doing this for a woman, something Min Jae hadn't expected. Bo-jom was stunned that someone had seen through the secrets he had kept hidden for so long. That evening, he summoned CO1 to his place and then held a sword to his neck. CO1, bewildered, thought he was joking. Furthermore, Bo-jom spoke in riddles that CO1 couldn't understand. CO1, saying it wasn't a funny joke, left. The next morning, he recounted the strange incident to Han Hee-na. She dismissed it as a harmless prank. After breakfast, they went for a walk. Strangely, ever since Han Hee-na started wearing the bracelet the principal had given her, no dog dared approach her. On top of that, she developed a cough and a fever. The bracelet clearly wasn't agreeing with her. CO1, walking beside her, also started coughing, as if he'd caught whatever she had. A few days later, they chaperoned a school trip to a museum. During a free moment, they stepped aside to talk. Watching them, Min Jae was suddenly flooded with memories from a past life. It turns out that in a past life, Min Jae and Han Hee-na lived in the same house, with Han Hee-na serving as a maid. CO1 was a wealthy and handsome nobleman. One day, CO1 visited the home of General Min Jae's father in their past life, and met Han Hee-na. Their love blossomed after CO1 brought medicine to Han Hee-na. She sensed his affection, and he felt hers in return. One unfortunate day, Han Hee-na accidentally splashed water on CO1's clothes. Worried he would catch a chill, she embraced him, thinking her warmth would help. But their happiness was short-lived. The royal court summoned CO1, accusing the general of treason. They ordered CO1 to eliminate everyone in the general's household, including Min Jae and his beloved Han Hee-na. Unable to comply, CO1 helped them escape. When the royal guards arrived, they fled into the forest. To protect Min Jae, Han Hee-na put on her mistress's clothes to divert the soldiers. Co-1 followed Han Hee-na to protect her, fighting off the soldiers while masked. Meanwhile, Min Jae, in her desperate flight, tripped and fell down the mountainside. The mountain god, Go-bo-jom, witnessed Min Jae's fall. Recognizing her as the young woman who regularly offered thanks at his mountain shrine, he rescued and healed her, then sheltered her in a hidden mountain dwelling. Han Hee-na cared for her there, but the rapid changes and the trauma of the situation were overwhelming for Min Jae. Bo-jom watched over her from afar, even sending his familiars, disguised as foxes, to deliver food daily. Min Jae attempted suicide twice, but each time, Bo-jom intervened. His concern for her surpassed ordinary human affection, but he justified his actions by claiming he didn't want a corpse on his mountain. Grateful for being saved, Min Jae visited the mountain shrine to give thanks, unaware that the mountain god himself stood before her. Bo-jom cared deeply for Min Jae. Seeing her fetching water from a distant source, he offered to create a channel to bring water closer to her dwelling. As they talked, she realized that Bo-jom was the mountain god. She expressed her gratitude for saving both her and her mother's lives in the past. Despite his feelings for Min Jae, his immortality prevented him from being with her forever. Thus, he maintained a distance, afraid of letting his emotions grow too strong. Meanwhile, Han Hee-na, having been on the mountain for a long time, wished to descend and seek news of Co-1. She asked Min Jae for permission to leave. In the capital, Co-1 remained imprisoned, steadfastly refusing to reveal their location. One afternoon, Min Jae couldn't find her pet dog and went searching. She discovered her injured pup and rushed to Bo-jom for help. After healing the dog, and knowing Han Hee-na was away, Bo-jom stayed to protect Min Jae. He taught her to fly kites and even role-played as the puppy's father, with Min Jae as the mother, nurturing the dog together. Their feelings became increasingly apparent. He gifted her a scarf to ward off the mountain chill. Coincidentally, during Han Hee-na's absence, royal troops discovered Min Jae's mountain hideaway. Hearing the clash of swords, Bo-jom sensed danger and urged Min Jae to flee while he confronted the soldiers. She ran towards her dwelling to hide, while Bo-jom engaged the troops. As she reached the cliff edge, Co-1 appeared, holding a sword to her throat. Forced to choose between her and Han Hee-na, he made his decision. Bo-jom, battling the soldiers, witnessed Min Jae being stabbed. He quickly dispatched the remaining troops and rushed to her side. The agony of watching his beloved die, powerless to save her, haunted him. This unresolved pain seemed to stretch across lifetimes, reaching into the present. Back in the present, Bo-jom visited the veterinary clinic and restored Han Hee-na's uncle to human form. He then departed, leaving the family and colleagues to grieve, believing their dog had died. The next day, Min Jae, the student with psychic abilities, sought out Bo-jom. She revealed that memories of their past life had surfaced in her mind. She confirmed that he was the mountain god, the same being who had once called her by an affectionate name. Hearing this, Bo-jom still deliberately avoided the topic, claiming to have no memory of such a thing. However, Min Jae insisted that she remembered their past lives, including her own noble origins. Bo-jom replied that the past was the past and advised her to live in the present since everything was currently fine, but Min Jae expressed her desire to help him. Uninterested, Bo-jom simply told her to leave and closed the door. The scene then shifted to Han Hee-na's family, who were astonished to see her uncle return to his human form. The curse, which was supposedly unbreakable, had been lifted, leaving them bewildered. Nevertheless, overjoyed, they took him out for some homemade fried chicken. Used to his canine habits, her uncle didn't use his hands, but instead lowered his face directly into the food. While eating, he praised the deliciousness, devouring it hungrily since he hadn't tasted such food in a long time. However, he seemed to still be adjusting to being human again. Hearing the chime signaling walk time, he instinctively grabbed for a leash. Han Jae reminded him that he was human now. At that moment, he looked at Han Hee-na's bracelet and remarked that it had a scent dogs hated. Finding this strange, Han Hee-na and her sister went to the storage room to search for any related information. Han Hee-na stumbled upon a letter about a mountain god in their past lives. but she couldn't understand its contents. That evening, while returning home from a walk, Han Hee-na unexpectedly ran into Bo-jom at her doorstep. He congratulated Seo-won and Han Hee-na on getting together, but his tone quickly changed. Bo-jom revealed that he knew about Han Hee-na's curse because he was the one who had cast it. Han Hee-na seemed skeptical, so Bo-jom instantly transformed her sister, who had just stepped outside, into a puppy. Han Hee-na was left stunned. Because the person who cursed her family was Bo-jom, he explained that he had been by their side for many lifetimes. Then, he left. Han Hee-na's sister returned to normal, unaware of what had just transpired. Han Hee-na hurriedly searched through old photos and discovered that Bo-jom had known her since she was a child. She immediately met with Seo-won to tell him about this. The scene changed to young Min-jae, searching for Bo-jom. She stumbled upon the principal sleeping in Bo-jom's secret room. Min-jae entered and declared that she remembered everything, and that the principal was the fox who served the mountain god. Hearing this, the principal relayed Min-jae's recovered memories to Bo-jom. He believed that having found his beloved, he and his master could return and wouldn't need to seek revenge. But Bo-jom stated that the mountain god was long dead. He was a different person now, and the plan was already in motion. Meanwhile, Han Hee-na's mother took her uncle to buy a new phone. Excited, he ran ahead, but after a short distance, he transformed back into a dog. Han Hee-na's mother immediately called to inform her. Realizing this was Bo-jom's doing, Han Hee-na went to confront him. Bo-jom then revealed the reason he cursed her family generations ago. In the past, Han Hee-na's ancestor was a servant to Lady Min-jae. To save the man she loved, the ancestor revealed the lady's location, leading to her death. Enraged, Bo-jom held a sword to the ancestor's throat and declared that her family would be cursed. The curse transformed them into dogs whenever they kissed someone. For generations, her family had endured this curse. However, Bo-jom offered to lift the curse on one condition. Seo-won had to forget everything about Han Hee-na. They would be as if they had never met. Only Han Hee-na's memories would remain, as he wanted her to live with the torment of their lost love. Bo-jom gave Han Hee-na two choices and then left. Distraught, she arranged to meet Seo-won and told him everything. Seo-won said he understood and that for her family, she had to make the sacrifice to break the curse. He added that even in the future, he would always search for her so they could be together forever.